this is just an excuse to get rid of Rogan. It really is.
You're playing with fire, Spotify. This is the disconnect between the woke companies who pull the strings and the woke people who work in your offices and the people who listen to Spotify.
See, if there's one thing the left hates more than anything else, it's anyone who gives a platform to people they don't like.
I don't think that he even broke any of their rules. So it was announced yesterday that Spotify would have these warnings. I don't think they've gone into practice yet, but this is from Spotify's website, dangerous content. And they have COVID down here. Content that promotes dangerous, false, or dangerous, deceptive medical information that may cause offline harm or poses a direct threat to public health includes but may not be limited to, and I don't think he's broken any of these, asserting that AIDS, COVID-19, cancer, other serious life-threatening diseases are hoax or not real, encouraging the consumption of bleach, and it'll cure various illnesses and diseases, promoting or suggesting that vaccines approved by local health authorities are designed to cause death, and encouraging people to purposely get infected with COVID-19 in order to build immunity to it. So it says it may not be limited to, so they're kind of hedging it there.
Yeah, of course, that's what they always do with YouTube. They say, or anything else that we think.
Oh, so you think this woke crowd is coming after you because you haven't been transparent with your policies? No, that's not why they're doing it. They hate Rogan and they hate what he's saying. And they're coming after you, and Spotify, you're caving. This is not good. This is not going to go over well for him. Based on the feedback over the last several weeks, it's become clear to me that we have an obligation to do more to provide balance and access to widely accepted information from the medical and scientific community guiding us through this unprecedented time. Yeah, these times are unprecedented. Absolutely, they're unprecedented. And no, anyone that says the science and the medicine is wrong, that is propaganda and misinformation. There is no the science or the medicine. There are established practices, I understand that, but they are always doing studies on this, constantly updating and changing. You can't have a "the" in front of medicine and science. That is Dark Ages philosophy, Dark Ages thinking.
Joe Rogan has responded to the backlash he has received over the spread of COVID misinformation on his podcast.
If there's anything that I've done that I could do better is have more experts with differing opinions right after I have the controversial ones. My pledge to you is that I will do my best to try to balance out these more controversial viewpoints with other people's perspectives so we can maybe find a better point of view. I don't want to just show the contrary opinion to what the narrative is. I want to show all kinds of opinions.
This comes after several artists pulled their content from Spotify, prompting the platform to add a content advisory warning to any podcast that feature discussion about the pandemic.
And they're saying, again, this is about COVID misinformation, because for the left, emergency is the predicate for violating all the rules. The idea always and forever is that there is something so grave happening out there that we must violate core principles like freedom of speech in order to shut it down. And make no mistake, this is a freedom of speech issue, not in the First Amendment sense, but in the cultural sense. When you are saying that a platform like Spotify, which is designed in order to allow people to get their ideas out there, should be shutting down voices like Joe Rogan's. Spotify's a private company, so they can have some content standards. But the suggestion that Joe Rogan is well outside the content standards, that this is somehow the great sin. It's the fact that Rogan even talks to folks who are not within the mainstream left that the left is so angry about right here. And they're using COVID as a rationale to go after Rogan because Rogan happens not to follow the party line when it comes to vaccines, and when it comes to masking, and when it comes to a lot of the other issues that the left has made into religious icons.
Listen, I think Spotify ultimately did the right thing here in publishing its rules for creators. It was kind of the wild, wild west before. And also what will happen to creators if they break the rules. And two of those rules are publishing dangerous information and disinformation. And Joe Rogan sort of addressed that and what he'll try to do to, I think he said, balance that.
So now Eck says there will be new rules over how the disinformation will be disseminated. Now, before we go on, we need to address the definitions of disinformation and misinformation. And people go, well, those are the same, Dusty Friday. No, they're really not. They actually are different. Listen to this. Okay, so this is when I went to Google and I did definition disinformation. I pray the Lord that this doesn't change. Dictionary.com and Google have been changing this stuff. Sometimes to get these definitions, you have to go into the Wayback Machine, and hope no one's messing with that thing. Here's disinformation. It's a noun. Disinformation, it shows how to pronounce it. False information which is intended to mislead, especially propaganda issued by a government organization to a rival power or the media. That's the big one. This is weaponized false information. Disinformation is information which is intended to mislead, but it is specialized propaganda issued by a government organization, i.e., the government or the military or something like that, or an intel community, to a rival power or the media. Okay, that's disinformation. So remember, dis kind of has the militant aspect of it. So let's take a look at the dictionary definition of misinformation. Misinformation. It is also a noun. False or inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. See the difference? Misinformation does not have the government aspect of it. Misinformation is what is intended to just mislead. So misinformation kind of lacks that militant or government faction. Disinformation is kind of more like the military or government faction using that as a weapon.
The CNN has not been accused of platforming misinformation, even though CNN does it on a routine basis with regard to COVID. They're constantly putting people on the air who say things that are just flat out false about COVID, implying a death rate in children that is extremely high, which is not true, implying tremendous efficacy rates for cloth masks, which many of their own pundits have suggested is not true. Misinformation, in other words, is a fungible term meaning I don't want this person on the air, as opposed to just being obvious about it and saying, I don't like Joe Rogan, so I don't want him on the air, which is what they would say if Joe Rogan actually were, say, a neo-Nazi. They would just say, I don't like him. We want him to go away. And then we could have an argument over whether that person should go away or not. But that's not what they're saying. Instead, what they're suggesting is there should be some sort of objective standard whereby Joe Rogan has violated the COVID misinformation policies, and now we are going to leverage him off the air.